All right, Chapter 4, Lesson 8. This is day 2. So we're looking at solving quadratic inequalities by graphing. A little bit, very much the same, a little different. So in your notes, when these graphs got copied into, make sure that these inequalities up top of the graph, so you can see here, a is less than 0 here, okay? A is less than 0. A is less than 0 on the top. Okay, so make sure they match up with what's directly across. For some reason, when the notes got made, those pictures kind of got mixed up a little bit. So A is less than 0, you can see here, and again, I'm going to show you what we're looking for here. So I'm looking in that graph. Well, where is that graph less than 0? Well, here's my 0. There's 0, right? Use a different color here. So here's my zeros. Where is it below 0? Well, we're looking at this bottom portion of that graph. Okay, so you can see, well, what's my solutions? Well, my solutions is this red x's, these x's here. Okay, these red x's. So you can see we have this compound inequality as our solution. Okay, same thing over here. A less than 0. Now our graph was flipped. So now, again, here's my zeros. Where is it less than? It's this part down below. And what x correspond with those? These on the outside, the red part. So you can see now I have an OR statement for my solutions because they're going away from each other. Okay, it's less, x is less than this value, or x is greater than this value. Same idea down below when our quadratic is greater than 0. So we have greater than zeros here. So greater than 0, greater than 0. And again, you can see, well, what portion of that graph am I looking at? Again, A is greater than 0, so here's my 0. Greater than is up above the x-axis. Okay, and then same thing on the right side. A greater than 0 again here, above that x-axis, so I'm looking at the curve of the parabola there. So my solutions then, you can see again, on the left side, OR statement, because those x's are going away from each other. And here I'm in between the parabola, so that's that AND statement for my solutions. Okay, these x's are we're just using our x-intercepts. Okay, so finding these x-intercepts is key. Okay, you can do this with Desmos, graphing calculator. That's going to help us determine what those values are. And then again, we're just looking at what symbols for inequalities that we're going to use to show our solution. All right, so let's take a look here at a couple examples. So here's my graph, x squared plus 5x minus 6. Again, we're just using Desmos to plug this in. So let's grab Desmos up. So here's Desmos. I already had the equation in there, x squared plus 5x minus 6. Again, you can see vertex point here, negative 2.5, negative 12.25. X-intercept 1, y-intercept negative 6. And again, if you want to put that y-intercept on there, you can, negative 6. So negative, or so 1 and negative 6 on those x-intercepts. Those are the key points we're looking for. Okay, so keep those in mind as we go back and put this on our graph. So go back here, we'll put it on our graph. So get my pen up here. So again, 1 and negative 6. Those were our y-intercepts, or x-intercepts, I'm sorry. And so then we had for our vertex, was negative 2.5, and it was negative 12.25. So it's going to be somewhere down in here. Kind of goes off a graph, but that's okay. Okay. Y-intercept then was also at negative 6. So it's right in here. And again, if we want to have that vertex or that axis of symmetry in there, we can always put that in there. You want that extra points. So now we can go across that line to find that extra point. So we're looking at 2.5. So here's my other point reflected from that y-intercept. So again, it doesn't matter about solid and dotted, okay? Now, one thing you could do is know this point here, it's not included in my solution. Same here, not included when I look at this graph. But here's my graph. Okay, so now this quadratic is less than 0. So where is this quadratic less than 0? Well, we're looking less than 0. We're looking at this portion down below. So there's my portion that's less than 0. So again, what x values are represented here? So the x values that are represented are these right here in the middle. So you can see that's the inequality that I'm drawing. So what are those numbers? So again, this is negative 6, 0. Y is, or I'm sorry, the other x-intercept is 1, 0. So my solution set, I have negative 6 and I have 1. X is in the middle, so x is in the middle between them. Greater than, less than. Again, whatever this symbol is, that's what we're using according to greater than equal to. Okay, so no equal to on here, so my symbols in my solution set here do not have equal to as well. Okay, so there's my solution set. Again, it's in between the parabola, so my solution, my x, is in between the two values. That and statement. All right, let's take a look at one more graph, one more example here. So now we have negative x squared. So again, we got Desmos. Pull that up, bring that graph up. Here it is. Look at our points on here. We can get those down, 1.5 and 12.25, negative 2 and 5. And again, if you want to put that y-intercept on there, you can at 10. Okay, so let's get these points on here. So again, the big ones, the x-intercepts here, negative 2 and 5. The or the vertex here, okay, vertex was at 1.5, 12.25. Again, it kind of goes up off our graph. That's okay. This is just a sketch, okay? And then the y-intercept was 10. 10 here. Again, so here's my graph. Again, I'm not even too worried about this other point on the other side because, again, we're looking for this solution set. What x's make this true, okay? So now I'm looking for quadratic less than 0 again. So when I look at this graph, taking less than 0, so I'm looking down below here. So down below. So my solution is going to go these x's going out. X's going out. So you can see now, and again, these x values, we had negative 2, 0 here and 5, 0 here. So those are my values that I'm looking at. Okay, so now we have an OR statement. Okay, you can always do those squigglies. So x here less than and equal to, because our symbol's up here has equal to. So less than equal to -2, or x greater than equal to +5. Okay, so you can always put it in those brackets to show that those are your solutions. Should have did that in the first one. Okay. So again, we're looking at above the x-axis, above greater than 0, or below that x-axis, less than 0, and what x values give us those solutions. Okay. All right. Chapter 4, lesson 8, day 2. That's the last set of notes for chapter 4.